Ripple just did something that no XRP holder saw coming. And I am not talking about an acquisition. I am not talking about a partnership. I am not talking about a price prediction or a chart pattern. I'm talking about something much more serious than any of those things. Ripple, the company that created XRP, the company that XRP holders have trusted and supported for years, the company whose success millions of people assumed would automatically make XRP more valuable. That company just created a product that is directly competing with XRP, and that product is winning. While XRP fell from $3.65 all the way down to $1.42, while XRP holders lost 40% of their investment this year, Ripple's new product grew by 1,278%. 1,278%. While your XRP was falling, Ripple's other product was exploding. And the most alarming part of this story is that Ripple built that product specifically to do the same job that XRP was supposed to do. Cross-border payments, institutional settlement, global money movement. The product is called RLUSD. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, exactly how it is growing, exactly which banks and institutions are choosing it over XRP, and most importantly, exactly what this means for the future value of the XRP tokens sitting in your wallet right now. This is the video the XRP community needs to watch today. And it is the video that most XRP channels are too afraid to make. Stay with me. Step 1. What RLUSD actually is and why Ripple created it. Let me start with a simple explanation for everyone watching, because you need to understand what RLUSD is before you can understand why it is such a threat to XRP. RLUSD is a stablecoin. Specifically, it is Ripple's own stablecoin, launched in December 2024. It is always worth exactly $1. No volatility, no price fluctuation. 1 RLUSD equals $1. Always. Ripple created RLUSD because institutions told them they wanted to use Ripple's payment technology, but they did not want to deal with XRP's price volatility. When a bank sends money internationally, they cannot afford for the settlement asset to drop 10% in value during the seconds it takes to complete the transaction. XRP's volatility, which is what makes it exciting for investors, is exactly what makes banks nervous about using it for settlement. RLUSD solves that problem. It has all of Ripple's payment technology, all of Ripple's speed and efficiency, all of Ripple's institutional relationships, but without the volatility that made banks hesitate. On the surface, this sounds like a good thing for the Ripple ecosystem. Ripple offering banks a stable option alongside XRP. More products, more choices, more adoption. But here is the problem. RLUSD does not just exist alongside XRP. It competes with XRP for the exact same use case. Cross-border payments, international settlement, institutional money movement. Every dollar that a bank puts into RLUSD for settlement is a dollar that does not go into XRP. Every transaction settled with RLUSD is a transaction that does not create demand for XRP. Every institution that chooses RLUSD over XRP is an institution that was supposed to drive XRP's value. Ripple created a competitor to its own token, and that competitor is now worth $1.56 billion and growing at 1,278% per year. Step 2. The names choosing RLUSD over XRP that should alarm every XRP holder. This is the part of the story that keeps me up at night, because it is not anonymous small banks choosing RLUSD. It is the biggest names in global finance. Deutsche Bank, one of the most powerful banks in Germany and one of the most important financial institutions in Europe. Deutsche Bank just integrated Ripple's payment infrastructure. The integration specifically uses RLUSD for settlement, not XRP, RLUSD. SBI Holdings, the largest financial group in Japan, one of the most powerful institutions in the second largest financial market in Asia. SBI Holdings rolled out RLUSD across Japan in the first quarter of 2026. Not XRP, RLUSD. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the entire world, the company that manages $10 trillion, the company whose entry into any asset is considered the ultimate institutional validation. BlackRock partnered with RLUSD, not XRP ETFs. RLUSD, LMAX Group, a major institutional trading platform that serves banks, brokers, and professional investors across global crypto and derivatives markets. LMAX made RLUSD a core collateral asset for its entire institutional client base. Let me say that again clearly. Deutsche Bank, SBI Holdings, BlackRock, LMAX, four of the most powerful financial institutions in the world, all choosing RLUSD, not XRP. And a Ripple survey published on March 21, 2026, showed that 74% of finance leaders now see stablecoins like RLUSD as key tools for cash flow efficiency. 74%, not XRP. Stablecoins, RLUSD. When I see Deutsche Bank and BlackRock and SBI choosing RLUSD, I have to ask the question that every XRP holder should be asking right now. If the biggest institutions in the world are choosing RLUSD for payments, what exactly is driving demand for XRP? Step 3. The numbers that tell the real story. Let me show you the exact numbers because they tell this story better than any words can. RLUSD launched in December 2024. At that point, its market cap was essentially zero. Today, in March 2026, RLUSD has a market cap of $1.56 billion, growth of 1,278% year-to-date. In the last 30 days alone, RLUSD processed 515,000 transactions with adjusted transaction volume reaching $3.5 billion. Jack McDonald, Ripple's own senior vice president of stablecoins, has publicly acknowledged that RLUSD's growth is outpacing Ripple's own internal projections. Ripple itself did not expect RLUSD to grow this fast. Now here is the number that puts all of this in devastating perspective. 82% of RLUSD's circulating supply sits on Ethereum, not on the XRP ledger. Only 18% is on the XRP ledger. This means that the institutional money flowing into RLUSD, the money that was supposed to validate and support XRP's ecosystem, is mostly living on Ethereum, not XRP. Ripple built a stablecoin. Most of it lives on a competitor's blockchain, and the institutions using it are settling with dollars, not XRP tokens. While all of this was happening, XRP lost 40% of its value this year. The Fear and Greed Index sits at 29. $336 million in XRP liquidations happened in the last 24 hours, and the XRP price is $1.33 today. RLUSD is exploding. XRP is struggling. Both products come from the same company. Step 4. The new law that makes RLUSD even more dangerous for XRP. Here's something that happened recently that most XRP holders do not fully understand yet, and it makes the RLUSD threat even more serious. The Genius Act. This is new U.S. legislation that establishes a federal regulatory framework specifically for payment stablecoins. The Genius Act creates clear legal rules for stablecoins used in payments and settlement. It defines how they can be regulated, how they can be used by banks, how they can be held as collateral by institutions. RLUSD is perfectly positioned to comply with the Genius Act. It is already regulated under dual oversight from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and the New York Department of Financial Services. That dual regulatory structure is exactly what the Genius Act framework demands. RLUSD does not need to adapt to comply. It is already compliant. This matters enormously because it means RLUSD is about to transition from a crypto stablecoin into what regulators will classify as a compliant financial instrument. Eligible for regulated treasury management. Eligible for cross-border settlement in the traditional banking system. Eligible to be held on bank balance sheets with full regulatory protection. When RLUSD crosses that line from crypto product to regulated financial instrument, The institutions that were hesitating because of regulatory uncertainty will stop hesitating, and those institutions will choose RLUSD for their settlement needs, not XRP. Step 5. Is there any scenario where XRP wins despite all of this? I have just spent 4 steps showing you why RLUSD is a serious threat to XRP's core use case. Now, I am going to do what this channel always does. I am going to give you the honest counter-argument. Because the whole picture requires both sides, there are 3 scenarios where XRP still wins despite RLUSD's rise. Scenario 1. The currency bridge scenario. RLUSD is a dollar stablecoin. It is worth $1. Always. This makes it perfect for dollar-to-dollar transfers. Bank in New York sending dollars to bank in London. Perfect use case for RLUSD. But what about a company in Brazil sending money to a supplier in Vietnam? There is no direct RLUSD solution for that. The Brazilian real and the Vietnamese dong do not have a direct exchange market. You need a bridge currency. Something that can instantly convert between 2 currencies that do not trade against each other directly. XRP was specifically designed for exactly this use case, and no stablecoin including RLUSD can replicate it. Because a stablecoin is always worth $1, it can only bridge to and from dollars. XRP can bridge any 2 currencies against each other instantly. As Ripple expands into emerging markets, Brazil, Southeast Asia, Africa, the Middle East. The currency pairs that have no direct dollar market grow, and in those markets, XRP has an advantage that RLUSD cannot match. Scenario 2. The XRPL activity scenario. 82% of RLUSD currently sits on Ethereum. Only 18% is on the XRP ledger. But Ripple executive Reese Merrick has publicly said he expects XRPL volume to eventually overtake Ethereum for RLUSD. If that happens, every RLUSD transaction on the XRPL uses XRP to pay transaction fees. More RLUSD activity on the XRP ledger means more XRP being burned as fees. More burning means less supply. Less supply means upward pressure on price. The scenario where RLUSD migrates from Ethereum to the XRPL is actually bullish for XRP because it brings enormous transaction volume to the ledger that XRP powers. Scenario 3. The Clarity Act scenario. The Clarity Act currently being debated in Congress would establish XRP's role in the U.S. regulatory framework permanently. If passed, XRP would have legal certainty in the United States that no other non-dollar digital asset has. That certainty could unlock institutional investment in XRP specifically as a non-dollar bridge asset, not competing with RLUSD. Complementing it, every dollar payment goes through RLUSD. Every cross-currency payment goes through XRP. Ripple controls both sides of the institutional payment market. That is the optimistic scenario. And it is genuinely possible. Step 6. My honest verdict. You have been with me through 5 steps. You deserve a direct, honest answer. Is RLUSD secretly killing XRP? My honest answer is this. RLUSD is not secretly killing XRP. It is openly competing with XRP for some of the same use cases. And right now, RLUSD is winning that competition in the dollar settlement market. The names choosing it are too big to dismiss. Deutsche Bank, BlackRock, SBI Holdings. These are not small institutions. These are the biggest names in global finance. But RLUSD is not killing XRP's entire use case. It is winning one battle. The dollar settlement battle. XRP still has the emerging market currency bridge use case. XRP still has the potential to benefit from RLUSD activity on the XRPL through fee burning. And XRP still has the Clarity Act pathway that could define its role permanently. The question that will determine whether you make money holding XRP is this. Does Ripple's global expansion create more demand for XRP specifically? Or does it create more demand for RLUSD at XRP's expense? Right now, the data says RLUSD is winning. But the story is not over. April 8th is the next critical date. The SEC remedies brief will determine Ripple's financial freedom to invest aggressively in XRP's specific use cases. If that penalty is modest, Ripple can fund the on-demand liquidity expansion that drives XRP demand directly. Watch April 8th. Watch whether RLUSD migrates to the XRPL. Watch whether emerging market XRP corridors grow. Those three things will tell you whether XRP wins the war even if it lost this battle. Now I want to hear from you. After everything you just heard, do you think RLUSD is a bigger threat to XRP than any outside force? Type threat if you believe RLUSD is the single biggest danger to XRP's future value. Type partner if you think RLUSD and XRP will ultimately work together and both win. And type unsure if you need to see more data before deciding. Drop your answer right now in the comments. This is the most important debate in the XRP community today, and I want to know what every person watching this channel thinks. I reply to every comment in the first hour. Subscribe right now because April 8th is 9 days away. The moment that SEC remedies brief drops, I am posting a video that will tell you definitively whether Ripple is free to invest in XRP's future or whether the penalty destroys that possibility. You need to be subscribed and have the bell turned on for that video. It may be the most important piece of information XRP holders get all year. Thank you for watching. I will see you on April 8th, and I will see you in the next one.